Yo, what's going on, everybody? It is Monday. That means it's going to be a Monday mukbang today. It is August 10th, 2020. Hopefully, you guys are doing well. In this part of the country, in New Vienna, Iowa, and basically in eastern Iowa, generally, we've had some very strong storms coming through. The weather team on the local news has been broadcasting nonstop for like the last 3 hours. They're like getting a little bit loopy and exhausted. We're okay here. We haven't had anything too bad. We had some really dark skies and some very hard rains for a little bit. Now it's just kind of like rainy and still dark. But it was pretty intense for a minute. The girls were a little bit scared. The dog was acting funny. And then my in-laws were like bringing plants in from outside and like moving furniture around on the deck to make sure nothing blew away. So it got a little bit intense, but I think we just got mainly just some rain up here. Further south, and where like one of my sisters-in-law live, they got it a lot harder. And so like on that all the different local news broadcasts, they've been showing like images that people are sending in. They've got their like mobile news crews out and like getting footage. What's funny is it was so bad that some of like the weather stations, like kind of like the weather cams and like the NOAA weather stations, not like news stations that report weather, they were out of power, and so we weren't getting data from them. And then the news channel that my in-laws like, KCRG Channel 9, was out, and so like we like just through the satellite they were just broadcasting a green screen. It's like a weird lime green color. And so we were on Channel 7, and my father-in-law was like, what are we watching Channel 7 for? I'm like, Channel 9's still out. He's like, it's still out? I can't believe it. So it was pretty funny. But yeah, so we've been watching KWWL, Channel 7, for all day today, which has been like the longest we've been watching it. Although at some point, someone changes the channel to Channel 7 during the day because they watch, or I think they do, right? No, I don't think they do. I think the TV is basically never on Channel 7 in this house. Is that the channel that puts on Holy Moly? Then it might be on for that. All right, let's see how's everyone doing. Hopefully you guys are doing well. I saw Mark's soundcheck says storms are coming through Chicago now. Yeah, we've been watching. The news has been on all day, and it looks like it's the worst of it is like in Rockford now, but like the front edge of it is in Chicago. So hopefully you guys are okay. Steve Ehrenberg says it'll be there within the hour. So yeah, hopefully you guys are going to be okay. Hopefully it kind of peters out by the time it gets to you guys. Pete G 1980 says, hi Kofuzi, how's it going? What's the update on the knee? So now it's kind of been like 3 days not running in Saucony stuff. And today I still kind of felt the knee. Right around the same point that I normally would. It wasn't as bad as it normally was, but I was kind of hoping for a quicker kind of recovery of like a faster resolution of symptoms. But I mean, either I'm wrong on this Saucony theory, or my knees kind of like has a lot of like not residual, but like a lot of cumulative kind of like wear and tear on it. And so it's going to take a couple more days of removing the theoretical or the alleged bad stimulus for it to kind of recover. So I think it's good. I'd like to do some time trials this week. I want to do a mile time trial and then a 5K time trial. I'd like to do them this week. I think that I'll still be able to do it, but it might be towards the end of the week. Inez Dunbar says, hi Kofuzi and everybody. Had a nice steady run along the river with Pip. That's his dog. Perfect summer evening conditions. That's cool. Jody Runs is here as well. Frank Lahulier, Rain Runner. Mark Chancoco. Martha's here. Chris Dyke. And Recycle on Wednesdays. Recycle on Wednesday says, I'm on hold my insurance company and rapidly losing the will to live. I'm sorry that you have to go through that. But I will say it's been a really long time since I've called anyone. And so like I haven't had that experience in a long time. I don't miss it. I used to get so fired up about that kind of thing. Let's see. Chris Dyke says, Kofuzi, please confirm, are you a trainer and have you trained people before? It's funny. I keep repeating those things because I never know who's going to see me like for the first time. And so like a lot of that stuff is to one, for disclosures and disclaimers. I think those are important, but I'll also just to kind of like head off any of like the snarky comments ahead of time, you know, um, because there's people that are just like so wound up and at the ready to like pounce like the moment they see something that they like think they can attack. And so I'm just like, chill, don't worry. I know I'm probably wrong on a lot of stuff, but this is how like a regular person understands these things. So that's kind of like where that kind of stuff comes from. I was reading something online before a while ago, and someone was like, I hate it when like all these vloggers are like, sorry, I'm like not dressed up today, or I didn't brush my hair, or blah blah blah, or they like go through like a million excuses of why like they look like the way they do on any particular day. And I replied to that comment. I was like, it's because they've had like hundreds of people say like, how come your hair looks so trashy today? So like all those like weird, whenever you see like a weird tick on YouTube, it's usually in response to something that has happened like 100 times to that person. So that's not that I get like 100 or hundreds of responses about whether I'm a trainer or like my level of expertise or whatever, but I see it coming, and so I try to head it off at the pass. All right, so let's get to the Monday mukbang for today. We've been talking about French bread pizza so much, so I decided that for today we'll go with some French bread pizza. It's not Stouffer's, so it's not like the French bread pizza I was looking for. My wife, we've been using Hy-Vee, and the grocery store Hy-Vee, and their like online ordering system, and for whatever reason, they're out of Stouffer's French bread pizza. I'm thinking that it might be like, it's going to be like hand sanitizer, like Lysol wipes, toilet paper, Stouffer's French bread pizza, and then like Totino's pizza rolls. So I'm thinking that might be the hierarchy of things that are like in high demand. So what I have for today is Red Baron, which is, I always feel like Red Baron's a great also ran kind of like company. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not great, but it's not bad either. But this is not really even pizza because there isn't tomato sauce on it. It's basically cheesy garlic bread. But I'm not going to turn it down. I'm pretty excited about it, I got to tell you. I don't know if you got that, but it was crunchy. It's good. It's tasty. All right. The Determined Runner is here, coming in from Scotland. What's going on? Jonathan Fan's here. Cool. Let's see. Martha said, where'd that go? Martha said, we need something. Let me scroll up and find it. Martha says, we sure need some of that rain. 0 rain here in Colorado, and none in the forecast. They're at a fire danger. Yeah, I mean, I hope you guys get some rain soon, because that can be terrifying. I mean, I remember, what's the situation on those California wildfires? Just thinking about like dealing with a wildfire and evacuation with everything else that's going on in that state. That's crazy. Same thing with like the hurricanes that have been rolling through, like Isaias. That's just so much to have to deal with. But here we've been under like drought conditions, they've been calling it. So we certainly need rain. So it's very welcome here, although like the intensity of the wind certainly wasn't helpful. I've been seeing footage of lots of tractor trailers that have been getting blown over by the wind, campers, like RVs, that kind of thing. And then some giant, I don't know if they're silos or not, giant, not the tall, thin, round, metallic devices that looks like a silo. It's like that, but a lot bigger and wider. It looks like one of those places that will dry and store the corn for you, so like a much larger industrial size of facility. Had one that looked like a giant had come through and like poked it in like that. It was just really intense the way the wind hit it. Yeah, Mark Chancoco says, it's so hot here in Florida. If I don't run before 6:30 a.m., it's going to be brutal. Today was, yeah, I can understand that for sure. Today was not that hot temperature-wise, but it was so humid. I had a hard time breathing today on the run because it was so humid. And by the time I was done, I was just like, I didn't even run with a shirt. I went with 3-inch shorts, no shirt, FTW, and I went for it. It was fine, but it was still really really hot. Oh, Farrah's here. She's finally able to join in today. Happy Monday to you and you all. Awesome. Glad to have you here, Farrah. All right, let's see. Running with Pete says, yo, I should be working out, but our headquarters in Des Moines got hit hard with the storm. Yeah. Working remotely from Phoenix, but systems have been down for the past 4 hours, so I get to watch the live stream. Well, sorry that headquarters are down. But I'm glad to have you here running with Pete. That's cool. Yeah, Des Moines got hit real bad. Like they were like in the right in the center of the path of it. So some of the footage from I think it was Des Moines that I was looking at, and then that footage, it was pretty intense. Running with Pete is enjoying a yakisoba bowl from Costco. Tasty. And then, let's see. Dave says, yo, from Muggy Whales. Muggy Whales, that sounds so lyrical. And it's also two words that I wouldn't put together with like whales and muggy. That's interesting. Awesome. Shannon says, what's the prediction for the mile time trial, Kavuzi? I don't know what it's going to be. I'll put on some, I'll put on some shoes and I'll give it a good go. What I'll do is go for I won't taper for it. I'm probably going to go for like a regular easy run and then, probably go over to the Heritage Trail and make my last mile on that flat area right there. And so do like a 6 mile run with the last mile being the time trial. So plenty of warm up, but I'm hoping it's somewhere around 6. That's like my goal. And the only real reason I want to do the time trial is because then we'll start the weird mile series. I think I'm going to go donuts, then coffee, because that kind of makes sense. And those aren't too weird though, but it's a nice intro into like the format. So that way, if there's any like things like, oh, I need to do these 2 things differently, I can have that on like some of the easier ones. And so that way, once it starts getting weird, like a pizza mile or like a loose meat sandwich mile, it's not like a weird kind of food item and I'm screwing up the format. I want to screw up the format just on its own first. So that's why I want to set a baseline. What's the mile time trial? And then I could compare the times to like other weird miles. So that's the focus for that. So I'm not going to take it too incredibly seriously because it's for the purpose of comparing to weird miles, but, might as well have that baseline figure. Dr. Funk 1216 says, just snagged a pair of Boston 9s, which were $90. Are you going to be doing a 100-mile review on these babies? Soon. I have to check on it. I think I'm only at like 50 or 60 miles in on my Boston 9s. I'd like to wrap up the SL20s first. I'm on like 80 miles in those shoes. And so then from then I'll switch over and focus more on the Boston 9. But $90, that's an incredible price. Damjan Svet is here from Slovenia. Very cool. And Sean Marshall says, that was the best disclaimer ever today. It was really long. But just an old guy that runs a lot. I've said that before. It's not the first time I came up with that. I feel like it fits and hopefully it lets everyone calm down a little bit. The more technical of a thing that I talk about, the more people get really amped up about it. And it's very off-putting, I could imagine, and I feel it from someone that's like, all right, I'm a runner. I've been running for a little while. What's this power thing about? And then if I read in the comments that people are just bickering at each other, telling them that they're there's such an unscientific approach of talking about these issues. I'm just never mind. It's really off-putting. So that's another reason why I try to diffuse a lot of that. Whenever I do talk about GPS accuracy or apparently power now is another one. People are getting not fired up, but really people want to talk about it on the level that they've been really excited to talk about stuff with, which may be very much more technical than the video has intended for. So it's okay. And I love to have that conversation with them. I invite it, but sometimes it just gets really accusatory towards me. That I'm trying to I don't know. I try to simplify things as I explain them, but people conflate that with me trying to either intentionally mislead or that I'm, just misunderstanding completely, which I might be misunderstanding things completely. That's not impossible. But, you know. Yeah, JC says, be careful with speed on a bad knee. It's not the knee so much as the compensation. Yeah, I definitely am concerned about that. I was going to do it Wednesday, but I think I might push it to like Friday or Saturday. Hopefully, like by then, like I'll have a better idea of like how bad of an idea is it to try and run a fast mile. Because I'm like, a mile's not that long. But if I'm not feeling great, you know, a mile could be 1 mile too many. So, yeah, thank you for the concern, though. But, yeah. Gary S. says, haters gonna hate. I suppose so. This French bread pizza, by the way, is weird in a couple of ways. One, it's very dry. I'm not a huge fan of it. But number two, the way that the cooking instructions but the recommended cooking instructions require 1 minute in the microwave and then 9 minutes in the oven. And I'm just like, I suppose it speeds up the oven cooking time. So like the time from freezer to eating is minimized. But it's like, it seems like a lot of work for cheese on a piece of French bread. And then I was also thinking today, I'm like, I wish there was a Jimmy John's closer, because then I would just get like the day old Jimmy John's bread. They sell it for like ridiculously cheap and make pizza out of that. I should totally do that. I don't know why I don't do that all the time already. But that's what I was thinking about today. Trey Good says, training for my first 50K on my birthday in November since there are no races. Awesome. 31 miles for 31 years. I love the way you're thinking. The Triumph 18 didn't work. Think I should give the Shift a shot. I don't know, but I am getting the Shift. I think I got a shipment notice. So I should be getting it soon, like within the week, I think. The next couple of days. So I'll have a better idea. Otherwise, I just don't know. I don't have any experience in it, so I can't answer that for you. But good luck for the 50K. Luis Becerra says, my visa was approved, so I'm just waiting for the border to open so I can get myself some Adidas SL20. Oh, someone said SL20. I got a new sound for the SL20, like the daily SL20 sound. Let me know what you guys think about this one. Did you guys even hear that? It was just like a little ring. I don't know if I like that. Anything else, like I can't think of like a way to like make it like, you know, like a check mark. I wanted to do like ka-ching, but like it's not like a money thing. I don't know. That's the sound that I'm working with so far. But yeah, I mean that SL20. At some point they're gonna run out of this shoe, and we're all gonna be upset, and then the price will go up on them, because then they won't be available. You know. All right. Sean Marshall says, Stouffer's and toilet paper now are back on back order nationwide. Is that true? Or are you just joking? I suppose it could be true. I would totally believe it if it were true. Derek Dixon said, ran a new 5K PR on a track Triumph trial in the SL20s this Saturday. Well, awesome. That's like a double. I'll give you this one because I think this is better for hitting that PR. Great job on the PR, Derek, but also double points for making it happen in the SL20. Awesome. All right. So Lewis M asked a question, and I think, where did it go? Where did the original question go? All right. I'll see if I can find it. I seem to have lost it, but in the meantime, Samir Chima says, have I tried the stride sensor? I have. I made many videos about it, including one today. I like it. I run with it every single run. I think since I've bought it, there may have been like 2 runs that I haven't used it, and they were accidental, and I was really annoyed because one of them was the time I raced in the Carbon Rocket and won a 5K. It was on a Disney cruise, so it was like not like a real 5K. And it wasn't even chip timed, but it would have been really great to have the power numbers from that. But That's like the one of like 2 times that I can remember. I don't even remember the second time, but I know there's been at least one other time. But any other time that I don't have it, it's really disheartening. Chris Dyke says, "Oh, hey, CoFam, I just joined Audible last night. Getting tired of music. Hit me with your best audiobook. I've got 2 freebies to start." Awesome. Very cool. There's so many good options out there. I just finished a book that I ended up not liking all that much. It's called, and if you're on Audible and you have if you browse through a lot of running books, it's probably showing up as a recommendation. It's like Brave Athlete, Calm the F Down. And, I thought I would really enjoy it, but it ended up being not my favorite. I think that it's probably good for a lot of people. I think many people will enjoy it. I just didn't. It didn't deliver what I thought it was going to deliver. So, anyway. Frank LaHulier says, "Talk about the tech talk in the power meter video." No, that's totally cool. Your comment made a lot of sense to me, and I tried to answer it like as succinctly as possible. I didn't want to get too detailed. I didn't want to make it like the video like a big like here's how Stride power sensor works, but it kind of does, and I think that maybe I like navigated that line too far to the other side of like trying to make it too simple. But like in terms of the way, and I think I explained it in the comment, like Frank asks like how does the Stride sensor know what your threshold paces are supposed to be if it doesn't know your heart rate? Well, I think mine knows my heart rate because in my Stride power sensor, all my heart rate meter numbers are showing up too. So it's not only writing data, it's pulling data as well. But I don't know if it is taking that into account when it does my critical power number. But when you do all the different types of run in Stride, it creates like a power curve. And different areas of the curve correspond to like anaerobic, and then there's a later part of the curve that responds to aerobic. And there's kind of an inflection point, I think, somewhere in the curve that kind of demarcates from like a mathematical standpoint, like exactly when you're like 50-50, like half aerobic, half anaerobic. And I think that's what it picks as like your threshold number. So I think that's where that number comes from. That's my understanding of it. I could be completely wrong. I'm just a dude that runs a lot. But yeah, so I mean, those are great questions, and I love having those in the comments. But some people are like, just get so excited. But yeah. JC says cycling is great to give your joints a break and keep fitness while dealing with injuries. Yeah, we still got to figure out the bike situation. We're getting closer. So my brother-in-law brought a bike for my daughter because his daughter outgrew the bike, and it ended up being too big. So now what we're going to do is we're going to give that bike from one cousin to a different cousin that lives in town. And that cousin has a bike that is smaller than that bike, but bigger than the bike my daughter currently has. So then I think her bike situation will be taken care of. Then the baby will get daughter's bike. So everyone like shifts up a bike size. And then my wife and I still got to figure out bikes. So we'll see. J. Mike Remy coming in with the bicycling comment. Cycling is aerobic base, strength training, endurance, and mental toughness all in one. I completely agree. My big fear with bicycling is getting hit by a car. And I'm more concerned about, or like not necessarily getting hit by a car, but like a crash, like having a big crash. Like that's like a big concern of mine. Like it seems like it's something like a rite of passage for avid triathletes that at some point you're going to end up like, on the ground in the road somewhere. And so that's a big concern of mine. Like whether it's like equipment failure, cars, weather, something happened. So that's like a fear. So I worry about that. But, I'm going to start out with riding the bike with the family. Maybe I'll take it out because the roads are really nice around here for riding bikes. And it's as far as like a sport that this state is particularly like there's a lot of participation in. They're enthusiastic for bicycling. I mean, they've got the Ragbri ride, the ride across Iowa. So yeah, I'd like to participate in that. Let's see. What am I gonna say? Harish Rao says, "Hey Kafuzi, couldn't attend the stream yesterday. I'm just curious to know your decision on the Sauconys. Will you be putting more miles in them?" Oh yeah, for sure. I'll be running more in the Sauconys, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more careful about when I use them. Like try not to use them a couple of days in a row, but like wait till like my knee feels good. Then I'll maybe run in it like once or twice. Then like kind of like wait and see if I'm still good. Run into it, so that kind of thing. Otherwise, like lately, I've just been like binging on them. Just ride 13 Triumph, ride 13 Triumph, ride 13 Triumph, and like that, I think maybe was not. At least my theory is maybe that was not so good for me and my kind of biology and gait and everything that I got going on. Let's see. Yeah, the Determined Runner says, no, don't microwave a pizza. You'll be deep frying it next. Yeah, I mean, for a long time, the majority of the pizza that I would eat was in the microwave. Because this would have been when I was like in high school, and I don't think like I ever ate like an oven, like a frozen pizza from freezer to oven until like college. Like I don't think we ever did that in our house. All the pizza we ate was either from a pizza place, like a delivery, or it was in the microwave. And back then, do they still do this? Where like the box flips over on itself and there's that like silver or like gray colored material, and you put the pizza on that and it crisps it while it cooks, like that thing. The same thing like that, like Hot Pocket, kind of like the Hot Pockets technology too. So like that's the only kind of pizza I would eat. Mama Celeste was the kind that I ate so much. The size was like as big as it could still fit in our like microwave, and so we had tons of those. I ate those. I probably would eat one, like many of them per week. So I used to do that all the time. And I remember the first time I had, we talked about Elios a couple days ago. The first time I had Elios, I looked at the instructions and there weren't microwave instructions. So I was like, how is anyone supposed to eat these? There was instructions for oven and toaster oven. And I was just like, how old is this pizza? It's from the past. Like, I'm like, how does it not have microwave instructions? I microwaved it anyway. I just kind of guessed. That was kind of like my first, one of my earlier attempts at improvisational cooking. Elios pizza. And J. Mike Remy says, running is nice for when your bike is in the shop. It's so funny. Rainer says the sound effects need to be louder. All right, I'll turn up. I think that one, the SL20 sound that I picked, was a little bit on the soft side in a bit. Oh, here's the list of questions. I was looking for it. Hey, Kubuzi, do you have any favorite shows you've been watching, or just your favorite shows in general? I'll say my favorite shows in general are like Arrested Development and Futurama. And then the shows I've been watching lately, I don't really watch a lot of TV. I don't get a chance to. The kids kind of have commandeered everything. Sometimes they'll just turn the TV on something that they want to watch and then watch their iPads. And then when I change it, they get mad. I feel like it's just an act of dominance. They're just trying to show how much they have control over the living room. My wife was always like, you're always so paranoid about them trying to dominate you. But I'm like, if that's not an act of dominance, I don't know what is. But so I don't get to watch a lot of TV, and I've actually been making a really big point of it. Grandpa likes to watch the news at night, and the girls won't like let him a lot. And I'm like, he's gonna kick us out if you guys don't let him watch his TV. So that's so I don't watch too much TV anymore, other than like kids shows. So like I watch a lot of kids shows. I can talk to you a lot about kids shows. Yeah, but other than that, I don't really watch much. I watch a lot of like news. I like to have the news just on. I love local news. The more local, the better. Or if that's not available, just any other news. I'll listen to any of it. All right. Let's scroll down to the bottom again. Jeff Elliott says, I hate the news. Yeah, I mean, there was a time a couple months ago where I had to like stop myself from watching so much of it because it was getting me all stressed out. So I can understand why people hate the news, for sure. Yeah, Jeff Elliott says, I read and keep up with the current events, but just having a news channel on drives me nuts. Yeah, I can see that. I think that with like the advent of like the 24-hour news cycle, and then at some point it exacerbated it. And I don't think just having a 24-hour news cycle it quite explains it all. But there used to be a time, I think, when there was a very clear line between journalism and editorials. Right, the newspaper still somewhat keeps that line where there's like an editorial section, which is usually like characterized with other people writing in stuff, not like the reporters or the editors actually editorializing. But the news at least tries to maintain a little bit more of that formal distinction. These days, like there's no line at all between those things. So it's like, whether it's Jon Stewart or Trevor Noah, or it's like someone that's on like a cable news show, like there really isn't very much of a distinction between comedic, like satirical news journalism and like actual news journalism. So I think that's definitely an issue. But also maybe it was just like a false distinction that we were kind of deluding ourselves with to begin with. Like, can a person even be completely unbiased and like just report just the news, so to speak, whatever that means. So, I don't know, but I like to just have it on. It's just like kind of like having a podcast on all day. I guess that's kind of how I see it. Super Smolt says Avatar: The Last Airbender. I've never seen that show. Not a single one. Jeff Elliott said, I used to get mad in the car every day on my way home about everything, quote unquote, happening. Had to take a break. I could totally see that. Lewis M says, I enjoy John Oliver. I enjoy John Oliver too. I think he's really funny. Martha says, I miss Jon Stewart but love Trevor Noah. Yeah, I think I agree with you on that one. Let's see. Jeff Elliott says, I like John Oliver, but even that stresses me out. I could see that. Jeff Elliott is also suggesting watch Avatar with the kids. All right, I'll try it. I'll see if they like it. You know what show they binged while we were at the house in Guttenberg? Chippendales Rescue Rangers. They would not stop watching it. Like, we watched it from beginning, like first season to the last season of that show in a very short amount of time, which I thought was amazing because I loved that show. And then there's also a Kung Fu Panda series, which I think is actually pretty good, that my kids loved as well. And that's not normally like a show that I would think that they would like, because they don't like Kung Fu Panda the movies. I love them, but they don't. I also love How to Train Your Dragon. They don't like it at all. Like, they will not let me put it on. So, like, yeah, I'm trying. CJ Cruz said, I had a long drive this weekend and caught up on the podcast. I laughed for a good 20 minutes about the pooping in the cornfield story. That's so funny. I told my wife about the pooping in the corn yesterday, and she's like, you did what? And I was like, I had to go. I really had to go. I had to poop. And she's like, why? I'm like, well, I mean, I was at the exact part that's the farthest away from the house on the run. Like, I couldn't make it back. So, like, I went in the cornfield, and she was just like appalled. And I'm like, I've told you about this kind of thing before. She was just like, it's still really gross. So she was grossed out. But yeah, I was very amused by it. Louis Becerra says, Kapuzi, is there a code I can use on Runner Sports for a discount? I don't know. They never gave me one. I'm in the VIP thing, it's like a pay membership thing, which I generally don't like that kind of thing. But I've bought so many shoes from them that I get usually like a couple free shoes a year, not from them, but through like the VIP like program. So I'm getting my money's worth out of it. I think if you're a person that gets like 3 pairs of shoes a year, probably not. But if you buy more than that, and if you're willing to get them all from them, then I think it's worth it. But yeah. Yeah. Chris Dyke said, I laughed so hard when you replied to a comment in regards to pooping in a cornfield. I didn't have a shovel. Well, I mean, I didn't. Carrie S says, how do you clean up, though? I mean, I'll leave that to, like, you can figure that out. There's not a lot of options. So, yeah, so you kind of like, you have to be bold and go with it. Train Good says, when my wife and I were dating, she had to poop in the woods and used my shirt to wipe. Wow. And he says, my ex had given it to me, so it was the perfect way to get rid of it. I mean, I think that's really fitting. I mean, talk about an act of dominance. I mean, had she known? I mean, oh man, imagine, you should ask your wife, did your wife know where that shirt came from? Because then if she knew and she was like, I'm going to poop in the woods and then wipe poop on that shirt. Like, that's an act of dominance. That's a boss move. But the other question is, Dre, why were you wearing a shirt that your ex had given you when you were on a date with someone else? I think the story needs more explanation. Plant Power Dan says, I have a mile. It always comes back to running and poop, which I'm totally happy to talk about. Plant Power Dan says, I have a mild poop run fear. I try to go twice before I run, and I put TP in my hydration vest. Charmin makes a product, and what it looks like is it's a little canister. It's a plastic shell that's about the shape of like a travel size thing of Tylenol or Advil. So it's like about the size. It's smaller than like a Noon, like a capsule of a Noon, like the sleeve. And just a little bit of toilet paper, no like roll in the middle, it's just toilet paper all rolled up. So like that was like, that could be something. Because then in your hydration vest, I don't know about you, but a lot of times when I have a hydration vest on, I'm sweating through and everything in there is getting a little bit wet. The toilet paper, I don't think would survive well unless it was in that shell. I suppose, though, one could also very easily put it inside a plastic bag, like a Ziploc bag. That would also probably work. But, yeah, I always try to make sure I go at least once. And then, yeah, on that particular day, I did not go to the bathroom before my run. So, that's why it's important to go at least once. CJ Cruz, were you listening to the podcast with your wife? She says, my wife had so many questions. I love how you said it with about 20 minutes left. It wasn't even the starting topic, but a normal, oh, by the way. But it is a normal, oh, by the way. Oh, by the way, I pooped in the woods today on my run. I think that is like a pretty, like, normal thing. I mean, I feel like, I guess maybe it's not that normal, but like, the general concept, the correlation between pooping and running, I think is pretty strong. And so it's not completely unusual. I'm trying to do mental math of like, what are other activities where it would be really weird to say like I pooped while doing X. I don't think we need to do that. Rain Runner says, I try to go before I run in the morning. Yeah, I think that's, I got to. Roadrunner Review says, what is the best watch to use for Strava? I'm thinking about just using my phone and a flip belt. Yeah, I don't think that there's, like, in terms of, like, to use with Strava, I don't think that there's necessarily one that works, like, better with it or not. Because, like, whatever, well, I think there's subtle variations between the data that a watch writes and the data that Strava posts. Subtle differences in between like moving time and total time and things like that. And so that's going to also affect your paces. So sometimes my paces are different and my distances are a little bit different. Like, for example, if I walked for a little bit during a run, but it was slow enough to could be considered as not running. Like if I'm like crossing the street, waiting for traffic lights kind of thing. So like there might be subtle variations with that. But I think all the watches, as far as I know, kind of like work the same as long as it's like a GPS watch. Like Fitbit, I don't know if Fitbit connects to Strava. I think it must. I've never tried it. I've never tested that. But like Garmin, Polar, Cento, they all work fine with it. And then if you're just going to go with a phone and like a flip belt, I think that's fine too. The only thing is, like phone GPS and running is always kind of like a little bit weird in my opinion, because of I feel like it's less accurate. it relies sometimes it'll like borrow or try to like triangulate a signal from like cell towers and stuff. That's my theory. And so whenever I run with my Apple Watch, I like to use, and if I'm recording the activity with the Apple Watch, I like to have apps that let me specify, don't piggyback off the phone, only use the watch like GPS, because I feel like a dedicated GPS device won't like try to like extrapolate better GPS signals. It'll just tell you whatever it's reading, for better or worse. So that's kind of like my thought on it. But I don't think any watch is necessarily better in terms of Strava for anything. But different watches will, provide you different like ecosystems to live in terms of looking at your data afterwards. All right. Plant Power Dan confirms Fitbit does connect to Strava. That's cool, because it's just like sometimes like Fitbit is so like they're very closed off. They won't. I mean, I don't think you can even connect a heart rate monitor to a Fitbit. I mean, maybe some of their higher end ones that are more intended, like that have built-in GPS, would let you do it. But I think most of them don't even let you do a heart rate monitor.
Buddy vomited on the wood floor by the boxes. So Grandma and Grandpa had to clean it up.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
They use extra wipes. They use napkins.
Okay. All right.
And until it was all gone.
All right. Thank you. That dog's always throwing up. Remember I told you on his birthday, I just let him eat a lot of grass? He threw up a couple times yesterday, and I guess he's still throwing up now. Although, he just might be, I think he gets like nervous vomit. And with the storms and all the lightning and the thunder today, he just might be like having like anxiety problems. Who knows? Ines Dunbar says, I was trying to run a Strava segment yesterday and Pip did a poop. I had to stop and bag it up. Don't think I got the KO up. Oh, that's a shame, especially if you were close. But maybe next time you could get out there. I would try again. Let's see. Sorry about that. Sean Marshall says, you definitely got me curious about Polar Kofuzi. Well, it's cool. I mean, I've been liking them. I just like the Polar like interfacing with the watch a little bit better than Garmin. Garmin, I don't know. I just didn't like it as much. I think that I need to test some more Garmin. I tested the Garmin 45, like their entry level one, but I think I do need this year. I would like to test like a Phoenix, some of their high end, just to see like really what is like the best that Garmin can offer. Yeah, Frank Lahulier says the Strava phone app goes haywire and gives people the 239 mile and things. Yes, I've run two consecutive 3-minute miles before using the Strava phone app, like just recording through that. Like I wonder though, like if you used like the Polar app or like the Garmin app to record an activity from the phone, would it still give you those weird numbers? I'm not sure. I haven't tested that in so long. Harris Rao says, your daughter is so cute. I can't wait for my own to start talking. Yeah, she's so much fun. But like she's definitely becoming a little bit of a mini boss over here. She knows how to work a room, for sure. Plant Power Dan says, I've thought about peeing my pants for a PR, but it's just not worth it. Maybe if we're at a race. You think so? I mean, I think, like, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I've peed on the trail many times. I've peed on trails many times, but, like, I don't really think too much of it. I've peed a lot out here. Not this summer, because it's been too hot. But in the wintertime, on a lot of the roads around here, I've peed in many places. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's like coming back, like a wave of like flashes of memory are coming back of me just peeing in places. But I've done it a lot. I'm trying to think of like, I was thinking like, pee, you can usually hold it. But no. The reason why I just like let it go is because, and I mentioned this the other day when we were talking about poop, is like when I have to go to the bathroom, it just sends my heart rate spiking. So I'm like, I'm not going to have a good run if I don't take care of this, so I just will go. But fortunately, around here, there's usually not a lot of cars. So, like, it's very easy for me to do. see. Tony, you had a question. Where did it just go? I was looking at it. I think I'm closer. Oh. How do you motivate yourself to train during the winter months? Given the pandemic, I'll have to get ready for it. Thanks. It's not that hard for me to run during the winter months because I love running in the winter. I like running in gloves and a winter hat and a neck gaiter and a jacket and like running in a hoodie. Like I like all that. I love it. So it's not that much harder for me to do, but it took me a while to get to liking it. What I started doing when I started running, motivating myself for year-round running, for winter running, was thinking about how much of a head start I'll have for the spring if I don't have to catch back up, right? Because so before then I used to you'd run in the summer, you'd kind of get back in shape after a long period of inactivity in the winter. And then by the end of the summer, you're like, oh, I'm finally in shape. And then it's the end of the summer. And then you're like, it's getting cold. I'm going to stop running. And so you're always kind of catching up to your end of last summer, I felt like. And so I was like, no, I'm just going to keep running. And if it gets too cold, I'll start running inside on a treadmill and we'll see what happens. But that was it for that first year of winter. I tried doing that. I ended up just running all throughout the winter and it was fine, even in really, really cold temperatures. I just was like, oh, let's find more stuff that I can put on while running. And then I was just like, you know what? This is pretty miserable. It's cold. It's dark. It's going to be dark the entire time I run because the sun doesn't get up till whenever. But I'm going to do it and I'll feel better about it in the spring. And I did. I felt like that was a big unlock for me in terms of progression, in terms of building base mileage and maintaining fitness. I was really, it really made a big difference. And so that became a positive feedback. So then I enjoyed running in the winter because I felt like it was really good for me, but now I just really enjoy running in the winter. And so it became a good habit. Lewis M says, en route to work, there's about a mile stretch where there's no place to pee. Once I had to run into this giant ditch and go without anyone seeing. That's so funny. I could definitely relate to that. Steven Gersdorf says, lucky to run on isolated dirt roads, can move to the side and take a leak unnoticed. Yeah. I was telling my wife about it that I used to have the same problem when we were in Chicago, and it was I was running really early in the mornings in the early stages of lockdown. Because not only was it so early that places weren't open because a lot of businesses were shut down. Even if they were open, I didn't want to go in there because of lockdown and virus concerns. And so I told her I was running really small loops around the house because at any moment I could just have to suddenly go poop. So I was just filling her in on months of digestive kind of war stories, I guess. Let's see. MK says, have you seen Golden Harper's, he's the founder of Ultra, video on running form and how it impacts knee pain? I haven't seen that before. I'll look for that. I'll check it out. All right. Let's see. Jeff Elliott said he didn't feel the earthquake that was happening in Charlotte. He says, I'm about 45 minutes from downtown Charlotte, and I didn't feel the earthquake because I was out in the car. Everyone I know posted about it, though. Well, I'm glad you're okay, and I'm glad you didn't feel it. I was looking at, I saw someone on Strava that was like, nope, I didn't feel it. I was out for a run. It probably was the fact that I was in my endorphin speeds. So that was pretty funny. Mr. Derp9 says, can you tell us the truth now that you have longer hair? Does longer hair make you faster? I don't think it makes me faster, though. Although I think that, if I shaved my head, I feel like I would suddenly feel a lot of sweat dripping down. So while the hair up here makes me a lot hotter because there's just so much of it, Well, from here back, there's so much of it, from my receding hairline back. But I feel like it's kind of like keeping all like a lot of the sweat there and out of my eyes. Like this is the first summer that I haven't gotten like that sweat / sunscreen burn in my eye. I mean, knock on wood, there's a lot of summer left, so we'll see. Super Schmaltz asks, what kind of base layer do you use in the winter, fabric-wise? Like whatever regular like running tights are made out of. So I'll use that as like a base layer. I mean, sometimes, this last winter wasn't too horrible. And so most of the time I needed just like regular, like long running pants. And that was usually enough. If it got really cold, then I would have like long running pants and then a full length legging underneath that. And then when it gets really, really cold, then I'll also put a pair of like non-lined running shorts on top of the leggings. So it'd be like running underwear, full length leggings, running shorts, just to have another layer of protection in the groin area, and then running pants on top. And then on the top layer, it's usually like a running t-shirt, kind of like this, and then like a hoodie, or like a winter jacket made for running. One that's not going to get too sweaty. I usually try to go really light on the top layer because if it gets sweaty, it cools you off initially, but then it stays wet. And so you get kind of in this like, it's kind of freezing and unfreezing, and that just cools you down, which stops you from sweating more, but also makes you cold. On really, really cold days, sometimes I'll also put like a compressive underlayer underneath the running t-shirt. And mainly it's because I need like, sometimes my belly gets really cold, almost like there's wind burn on it. And so that's an area that I know like it's really cold if that area is getting cold. But if I have a compressive layer underneath my running t-shirt, that usually takes care of it. And then for the top of the head, I'll usually do like a neck gaiter and then a winter running hat. That's usually enough. Sometimes once it gets really cold, then I'll go to balaclava. And you can usually have a very thin balaclava, but because it's all like one piece, it keeps all the heat in really well. And then if it's super, super, super cold, I'll go balaclava and ski goggles. So that's kind of like the progression. All right. I think I got to get going soon because, I don't know, there's someone who's ringing the doorbell, but also I think it's just time to get going. I don't want to keep you guys too long. Let's do one more. Sean Marshall says, hypothetical question. Do you think running without your tech would actually make you slower? I'm thinking no watch, no power meter, no heart rate monitor, etc. Just shoes and shorts. No, I don't think it would make me slower. I mean, sometimes I think about doing that because if I'm just doing all easy running, and right now my easy running kind of lines up with my maffetone training, I could probably do that. I just like having those things. Yeah, would it make me slower? I don't know. I think for like more race specific training, like if I were following a training plan, I would think it'd be harder to do. I would at least want to have some sort of watch to have an idea of like how long I'm doing things, and kind of like the more training that I do, the less I'm like relying on pace. And so I'm working more on like either on feel and duration of time for activities rather than like 800s versus 400s versus mile repeats. And so like I don't know that I need like the GPS watch quite as critically as I might once have thought I needed it, but I also just like having it as like kind of like the way I use the Stride foot pod, which is kind of what we started talking about today. With the Stride foot pod, I don't look at the power data every day. I don't even look at it periodically. I mainly right now only use it as a race calculator to give me like the because it could give you like, all right, you want to do a marathon, all right, here's the number that you should shoot for to run like the entire time, which is different than that critical power number. And so like, you know, that's kind of how I use that. I like to have all the stuff on to record all this stuff, but I spend a lot of my energy trying to not look at it all while I'm running. And so that way I just want to have the data for afterwards. but only when I'm doing like a specific workout do I need to have it like during the run. Other days, I just enjoy having it. So, I'll end on this one. Rain Runner asks a very good question, and I wish I had more information for you on it. But I think it was Steve76 that mentioned that Duke study talking about like neck buffs could be potentially worse than no mask at all. And Rain Runner asks that Duke study, was it specifically for fleece gaiters or any running gaiters? It's a really good question. I read the paper. They posted photographs within the paper of all the different ones that they used. And I'd say the author specifically refers to them as neck fleeces, or that are like neck fleeces or neck buffs. No, neck gaiters or neck fleeces. But he just, as a shorthand, he keeps using the word fleece. And I was like, okay, well, fleece is made out of polyester. And so he's like, is it the polyester or is it something else? And so in some of the supplemental materials, I looked at the supplemental materials that he linked. I haven't looked, there's an option to look at their video footage that they took. I haven't taken a look at that. I'm not sure I would be able to discern from that anyway what the material was made out of, because it's someone in the dark and there's a laser shooting and all you see is the sparkles and the flecks from particles that are being illuminated. But I think that he was talking about, I think that they used a regular like style gaiter, which would have been, I think, polyester. With the thing is though, and so to make it an even longer story, what I then did was, in the paper, or at least in the supplemental materials, one of the lead researchers' email is on there. So I emailed the guy and I was like, hey, can you clarify what kind of neck fleece you were talking about? Because it appears from the picture that the neck fleece that you referred to wasn't actually fleece. And so if you were using a neck gaiter, I'd like to know what the material was. Was it polyester, cotton, some sort of polyester blend, merino wool? Because there could be, I have ones that are made out of all of those materials. So I emailed the guy like 2 or 3 days ago, whatever the day that CV mentioned it, I emailed the guy like that following morning. I haven't heard back from him. I assume he's very busy. I've watched a couple of his interviews and looked at it. The other thing that I would like to, if I ever get a response, the other thing that I would like to also follow up in regards to that study is the experimental protocol was to say, stay safe, everybody, or something like that. Stay safe. You put the mask on, you say, stay safe, everybody. And the speaker would say it 10 times. Some of the masks, he got 4 different speakers to say the phrase 10 times. Some of the masks, he only had 1 speaker say it 10 times. The neck fleece, or what he's calling a neck fleece, quote unquote, only had 1 speaker. And the standard deviation of that, if you look at his graphs, are pretty big, really, really big, as are the standard deviations from no mask. And so depending on where within the standard deviations you're looking at, his conclusions are, I feel like, not that conclusive. So I think it's something that I would love to be able to reproduce myself, but I think it might be a little bit beyond the scope of what I'm capable of doing or willing to do. I think if I have a problem with making a stride video or a GPS watch video, like that one is going to be beyond what I'm willing to handle. But it's a very good question and something that I'm keenly interested in. I'm trying to get more information for everybody on it. So we'll see if I ever get a response back. But I think that he was using a regular fleece neck gaiter and not a fleece one, because I also have a neck gaiter made out of fleece. So if I can find anything else, I'll let you guys know. All right. In the meantime, though, I think that's where I'm going to leave it for today. We went long today. It's 4 o'clock. Sorry about that. Tomorrow's video, I don't know. Oh, tomorrow's video, I'm going to talk about the Clifton 7. So that'll be tomorrow. And then we'll do Trivia Tuesday. I'm not sure what we'll talk about for Trivia Tuesday, but I'll figure it out. I almost always do. All right. In the meantime, hopefully you guys are staying safe out there, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks, everybody.